everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Thunderstruck. Nope. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Quick Strikes. My name is Michael Wax, coming to you live from a recap of Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Joined here with my co-hosts Philip Wunderlich and Jake Ricker. Guys, a great game. How are we doing today?
I'm doing really good. I mean, anytime you get a win, you're doing good, right?
2 more wins. A great win today. Very happy with how the Bolts played. We're 2 wins away from that Stanley Cup. We're getting so close. Bolts got to keep pushing, though. Let's talk about this game, though, and how this one went down.
Let's talk about this game, but before we talk about this game, let's talk about the return of the decade already. I know this is only 2020, but this is the biggest return in Lightning history. Steven Stamkos finally coming back after 210 days off the ice for his first game action since February 25th. It was so nice to see the captain on the ice, even though he was not on it for very long. I'm so happy that he was back, and I think a lot of Lightning Twitter was happy that he was back as well.
Yeah, I think everybody was happy. We got our captain back, even if it was for only a few shifts. I mean, he's back, so that's great to see.
He was huge for this team. You saw the smiles on his face, the smile on his teammates' face, and we'll get to his couple of shifts that he did play in. This was a huge morale boost for the team, and it's really good to see. Hopefully he's going to be able to continue in this series, but anytime you can get that morale boosted up on the bench, it's huge for the Bolts, and it showed in this game.
Showed in this game and showed very early on, just 5 minutes into the game. Miro Heiskanen for the Dallas Stars looks to make an outlet pass. He trips himself, falls on the ground. Halat is the one with the really, really good pressure to force that turnover. Nikita Kucherov gets a breakaway goal and beats Khudobin on the glove side. His 7th goal of the playoffs, unassisted, gives the Lightning the early lead.
Yeah, I don't think that Dallas was really thinking that one over very well. You don't want Kucherov to go on alone on a breakaway. So, it's a great goal. It's a great performance by Palat, too, like you mentioned. So the teamwork really kicking in there.
Kucherov did a great job. He got this puck on that turnover. He picked his spot. The broadcast actually mentioned that there's been a one spot for Khudobin that he's kind of struggled with. Kucherov picked that spot. He flung it right in there. Great shot by Kucherov, and a huge start for the Lightning, as normally they're not able to score first. They did it here, and another good start for them.
And just 1 minute and 25 seconds later, our captain found the back of the net for the first time in these playoffs. Victor Hedman got the puck over to Stamkos. He gets around one Dallas member and shoots it right over Anton Khudobin. His celebration, as well as the rest of the team, you could put that on a poster if you wanted, especially with that celebration as he's going towards the vents. He makes it 2-0, the second goal in a minute 25 for the Lightning.
Yeah, that was a huge goal. Like you guys mentioned earlier, it really provided a morale boost. And this goal even did more so. And like you mentioned about the celebration, you could really see it on their faces on how well they were celebrating and stuff like that. And unfortunately, it was kind of like, peace out, I'm out from Stamkos, because that was his only real performance there.
Yeah, it was a great job by Stamkos. He coming on this play. He looked so good on this play. He got a little speed boost there, avoided a hit, came all the way down that right side, and he's been working on that shot throughout all this time that he's been hurt. And when he's been able to be on the ice practicing, he's been practicing that shot, showed off here. Picked a spot just like Kucherov did, put it right where it needed to be, and put it in the back of the net. Huge goal for Stamkos. He did great. I'm so happy to see him back on the ice. If we can get this Stamkos to keep on going throughout the playoffs, this is going to be huge for the Lightning. I mean, it really, really was a great play by him, and great to see him back. And it looked like he was 100% during this play.
Unfortunately, what you added right there during this play was absolutely correct, because he would take 1 or 2 more shifts and then not come back for the remainder of the game, although he would come back on the bench in the second period and remain there for the remainder of the game. And as the Lightning got a power play up 2-0, we thought, all right, if they could score on this, the game is over. Not to be, as Andre Palat with a very costly turnover in the Lightning end. Kucherov and point cannot get the puck away from Rupe Hintz. He gets it over to Jason Dickinson with a beautiful shot for his second goal of these playoffs, hence the only assist. A shorthanded goal that a lot of people were saying Vasilevsky should have had. I don't know about that because, it was such a perfect shot.
Yeah, it was a good shot, but I feel like it was kind of a soft goal. I feel like Vasilevsky should have had it, and unfortunately, he didn't.
Part about this play that was concerning to me is we had three Lightning players kind of go down low on the boards, and it left Dickinson wide open. He got that easy shot from the slot. So that was the major thing, I saw from this goal. Should Vasi have had it? Maybe, maybe not. But at the end of the day, Vasi has again continued to be so stellar for the Bolts that, you know what, I'll give him a little bit of slack here, even if he should have had that puck. But the big thing here for me is they left Dickinson open as too many guys went down low to try and grab that puck. One guy got left open, easy shot from the slot. You can't let that happen. I think that's the second time this has happened during this series. That's something they got to fix going forward.
Yeah, and as we were talking about after the 2-0 goal, after the 2-1 goal, Dallas pushed the Lightning to the brink, I think, in that period, and ended the shot total in that period 16-8. They doubled up the Lightning shots, even though the Lightning doubled up their score. However, they did take a very costly penalty at the end of that period. Alexander Radulov with a hooking penalty against Blake Como. It would come back to bite them at the beginning of the second period. Victor Hedman finds a loose puck off of an Anthony Cirelli pass, and he buries it with a wrist shot. Guys, he's coming for that goal-scoring record with his 10th of the playoffs. Anthony Cirelli with the assist, as well as Andre Palat, a power play goal.
Yeah, like I mentioned, Hedman's really coming for that goal-scoring record. He's doing really well at it too. No complaints there.
Hedman does such a good job at his awareness of watching the play and knowing when to jump up on the play. He did it again here on this goal. He sees that the puck's coming up towards the slot. He moves up off of that blue line, grabs the puck, and he's got such a good shot. And again, like a lot of these goals, these Lightning players are picking their spots, shooting the puck, and putting it right where it needs to be. It's another huge goal from Victor Hedman. He's been so good in these playoffs, both defensively and offensively. So I love this Victor Hedman. If he keeps on rolling, I don't think anything is going to stop him right now.
I don't think anything's going to stop him either. And as the period progressed, the Lightning pushing the Stars to the limit, even with that 2-goal lead, which is something that you love to see. And then the dam broke for the Stars as they allowed 2 goals in a matter of minutes. The first one coming from Braden Point, his 11th of the playoffs. Kucherov and Hedman with the assist to make it 4-1 Tampa Bay.
Yeah, that was a great goal too. Like you said, the dam really broke. I don't know if they really know it hit him at that point, because after that, then it started becoming a flood almost.
3-on-1 for the Bolts here. Kucherov did a great job at seeing Point, put the puck right in his wheelhouse, and Point put it home. A great play by them to really capitalize on that odd man rush. So great job by Kucherov to really put it in a good spot for Point too. And again, Point picks a spot, puts it right in the back of the net.
What I find really funny about this play is that after the 1-0 goal, Kucherov was still really angry. After this goal, which was not a goal that he scored, he was extremely happy, which is something that you don't normally see. Normally, you are more happy to score the goals than you are to see your teammates score. But I think he goes to the Alex Ovechkin school of, emotion, where he is determined to get to that point where, if I assist on a goal, if one of my teammates scores, I'm going to be really happy for them. So Kucherov has been a man possessed in these playoffs. There are so many people that can win the Conn Smythe. He is definitely one of them. This is so much different than the new 2019 Kucherov that we saw, even with that Kucherov putting up 128 points. This guy is unbelievable.
Yeah, he's like you said, it's hard to say who's going to win the Conn Smythe. Jake had a discussion with us earlier and was pointing out the stats, and they're so tight together. I mean, you have Palat, who's doing really well. You have Point, who's doing good. Kucherov, Vasilevsky, Hedman, of course. So it's going to be really hard to pick at the end if we do end up winning the cup, who's going to win that Conn Smythe.
Kucherov's really becoming a leader, and I love to see it. He could be a future captain maybe if his play and his leadership continues. It's we talked about his quote when he broke the record of Brad Richards last time on Quick Strike, and he's just when you see a guy like that who's more excited for his teammates than he is himself, that's just good sportsmanship. That's what you want to see from your team and them really picking up the leadership role, especially when Stamkos has been out for so long. Luckily, he was on the bench though for this one and helping the leadership role too. But yeah, great. So many guys are playing so well. Everybody's going above and beyond what they need to do. So I really love to see it. If this continues, it's going to be a great end of the season here for the Bolts.
Yeah, and speaking of greatness, at the end of that period, with just over a minute to go, Braden Point finds Andre Palat. Palat buries his 10th goal of the playoffs. Palat has been so good in these playoffs, especially with his goal-scoring sticks. Shattenkirk got the secondary assist. Didn't really matter at this point, and the 5-1 goal really put this game away in a lot of people's minds.
Like you said, that's exactly what it did. It put the game away. The way that I mentioned earlier, I said the way that Palat is playing, he's playing amazing too. And I forgot about Dre, as you guys mentioned about the Quick Strikes last episode, because people are concerning themselves on Point and Kucherov, but they're forgetting about Andre Palat too.
Palat did such a good job on this goal. Again, as I've mentioned multiple times on these shows, is right place, right time. Palat in front of the net. They didn't give up on the play, found the rebound, put in the back of the net. The Sportsnet broadcast mentioned this, that I think almost every single one of the Lightning goals today came from that slot area. It seems like they have found a lot of success there against Anton Khudobin, and they knew that's where the success was coming from, and they continued to make sure they got the puck there or got guys there, and they did a great job on that net front presence, and that's a key factor for a lot of teams. Especially when you get deeper into the postseason, you got to win those net front battles. That's what the Lightning have been doing, and that's why they scored so many goals in this second period.
Well, the slot area chances are probably some of the most prolific in hockey. If you can get slot area chances, you are more than likely going to score more goals than your opponent. That's just how it works. And I think one of the reasons the Lightning have been so good in these playoffs is especially in this second period, even though they did outshoot the Stars 21-4, which is mind-boggling on its own. Those 4 shots that the Dallas Stars took were on the outside. Meanwhile, all 3 goals that the Lightning got and many of their chances were in that slot area. So the Lightning have done a good job of breaking down that Stars defensive system while implementing their own system here in Game 3 that really shut the Stars down, even though the Stars were able to get 2 goals.
Yeah, and that's not a very easy system to break down the Stars' defense either. I mean, you have players like Heiskanen and Lindell and I can't think of his name right now, Klingberg, who are all really good offensive and defensively, and we're outplaying them, and you saw it tonight.
There were a couple points in this game where I thought the Stars kind of came back and were the better team in this. I think there were 2 specific points, once in the first and once in the third. But yeah, overall, the Lightning have done such a good job in every aspect of the game, being so good. And going back to that slot area, like you said, Michael, that's what you do in the NHL. That's one of the most dangerous places on the ice to score goals. And the Lightning have been so good all playoffs long at winning those net front battles. They have so many guys that can do that. Palat did it today. Yanni Gourde, he's been a big one. Pat Maroon sometimes in front of the net. So the fact that they have so many guys on so many different lines that can do this consistently, it really shows. And especially when you got like Steven Stamkos, who ends up playing on the 4th line a little bit. I mean, so many mismatches throughout this entire lineup.
Absolutely. And, we saw in the third period the mismatches sort of get to the Lightning a little bit as the Stars got to the only goal of that period. Miro Heiskanen with one of the weirdest goals I think I've ever seen, especially in these playoffs, where it goes off of Vasilevsky, off of his pad, and then Kevin Shattenkirk decides to bang it off of Vasilevsky into the net. So great job, Shatty. Made it 5-2. We've talked about how Kevin Shattenkirk has had a rough Stanley Cup Finals so far, even though it's only been 3 games. And he does put up the points like a forward does. But this is a play that exemplifies how problematic his defense can be, especially the fact that he got a penalty right after this goal against.
Like you said, it was bouncing around. It's like I don't know if you ever seen that commercial where the bottle keeps bouncing and bouncing, but it was like that. Like nobody could get a hold of it. Nothing was going on, and then and it ends up in the back of the net, unfortunately.
This was a really weird bounce. It hit Vasi's blocker and it looked like it almost rolled off of his back. So a really unfortunate play here. But yeah, Shattenkirk has definitely struggled. It's not what you want to see from a guy like him, who's one of those more veteran guys. But it's a player going to have bad series. You hate to see that in the Stanley Cup Finals. He definitely needs to improve on this and work on it. But this one, very unfortunate the way this one turned out. And luckily, the Lightning were up so much by this point, it almost didn't really matter.
Yes, and I was about to say that big problem for the Lightning is that they allowed the Stars back into the game with their mentality in the past couple of shifts after the goal was scored. When in actuality, you look at the shots against in that period, and the Stars only led 4-3 in the shot category. So they outshot the Lightning in the first, they were heavily outshot in the second, and then they outshot the Lightning by 1 in the third. So, the Lightning did a good job of making sure that even though the Stars were in the offensive zone for a lot of that third period, that they didn't get shots and pucks to Vasilevsky, which is always something that you want to do. We love Andrei Vasilevsky, but the less pucks he has to stop, the better.
Yeah, you never want to see your goaltender get a lot of shots against. And, the way that they were playing in the first period at the end, talking about Dallas, the way that they're playing, you could see that Vazzy was kind of getting tired too. And then so going into the second period is when the Bolts really started to dominate again. And then that's when your goaltender can start relaxing and falling back, so that way he doesn't have to be dialed up the whole time.
Michael, it's like we talked about in the last episode. Despite the Stars having majority of the pressure in the zone time, the Lightning do a really good job at not letting them get those high-quality chances like getting shots in the slot that we talked about and making sure that they clear the puck quickly. That's why I think they have so much success, even though the Stars start to put on some pressure. They start to get some zone time where the Lightning can't. But they've done such a good job on defense here that the Stars aren't able to get goals despite having, control of the puck so much.
Absolutely. And, despite the fact that the Stars outshot the Lightning in the third, Lightning did come away with that 5-2 victory. Victory celebrations. Play that gravy train. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Michael Wax, joined with Philip Wunderlich and Jake Ricker. Don't be afraid to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Also, feel free to follow us at Bay_Bolt on Twitter for all your news, notes, and game recaps every single game. Thank you guys once again for watching if you made it to the end of this video, and we will see you hopefully on Friday night, lighting up 3-1 in their series. Take care, guys.